All right. You guys ready for the word?
Wow.
Word to the wise.
All right. So let's do the overview for this is week what, 3? Yeah, week 3. Here we go. Thank you. Father, we just ask that you be with us today. Speak to us through your word. We have a lot to cover, but Father, you are able and you are good, and there's nothing impossible for you. So speak to us today. Reveal yourself to us today, and may you give you honor and glory in all that we do. We thank you in Yeshua's name. Amen. All right, here we go.
Yahweh answered Job. Job replies to Yahweh. The call of Abram. Abram in Egypt. Abram and Lot separate. Abram rescues Lot. Melchizedek's blessing. The Abrahamic covenant. Hagar and Ishmael. Covenant circumcision. Abraham's 3 visitors. Sarah laughs. Abraham's plea for Sodom. Destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Origin of Moab and Ammon. Sarah rescued from Abimelech. Birth of Isaac. Hagar and Ishmael sent away. Abraham's covenant with Abimelech. The sacrifice of Isaac. Rebekah's family. Sarah's burial. A wife for Isaac. Abraham's other wife and sons. Abraham's death. Ishmael's family records. Birth of Jacob and Esau. Esau sells his birthright. Yahweh appears to Isaac. Stolen blessing. Jacob at Bethel. Jacob meets Rachel.
All right, I don't know if we'll cover all that, but we'll cover a lot. So if you have a favorite part that I don't cover, just bring it up. We'll talk about it. We're going to start in Job. Actually, we're going to finish the book of Job with Job 42. We're going to read that.
I know that you can do everything, and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. You ask, who is this who hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. Listen, please, and let me speak. You said, I will question you, and you shall answer me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. Therefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust of thy passions.
And so it was, after the Lord had spoken these words to Job, that the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite,
My wrath is aroused against you and your 2 friends, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. Now therefore, take for yourselves 7 bulls and 7 rams. Go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you. For I will accept him, lest I deal with you according to your folly, because you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has.
So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went, and did as the Lord commanded them, for the Lord had accepted Job. And the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then all his brothers, all his sisters, and all those who had been his acquaintances before came to him and ate food with him in his house, and they consoled him and comforted him for all the adversity that the Lord had brought upon him. Each one gave him a piece of silver, and each a ring of gold. Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemima, the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Keren-Hapuk. In all the land were found no women so beautiful as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years, and saw his children and grandchildren for 4 generations. So Job died, old and full of days.
Man, just imagine being able to see 4 generations of your children and grandchildren. It'd be awesome. So, he lost everything, right? What about his wife?
No, have her. Just kidding.
And guess what? They had, what, 7 more?
They had 7 sons and 3 daughters.
Now, I've heard, you know how the Midrash and you get different stuff in there in the Talmud and all those things, that he actually married again. But that's not in Scripture. They come up, because it's in the, it might have been an Apocrypha, one of the Apocryphal books that talks about when he married somebody else. I don't like anything that tries to
So could it be,
add to or take away from.
could it be that was her punishment? Having 10 more children, going through childbirth.
Well, that is pain and everything, right? Yeah. So,
Coming from somebody that's never popped one out.
Well, the scripture said that. Children are a blessing.
So
what?
ten-
Well, they
They're
are.
a blessing,
They
but
are for
so
God.
10, so
You don't
each,
pop one out either. So what does
so,
I've been there. I've been there.
No, that's
so do you think she had one every year? Or did have a few years in between there or whatever? So who
Well, that could
knows?
have been twice.
Got them all at once.
She had like quadruplets.
Yeah,
She
she
could
got
have
them all at
had
once.
twins.
No, I think she had to, just when she was about ready to go back to work.
Should have lit her a pump.
He kept her barefoot and pregnant. Just when she was starting to put, just when she started to put her shoes back on, they're going, oh man.
They from the hills.
I don't know.
So why do you think the reason is that she made it through everything else? And it makes a point saying she was a nagging wife. Well, I mean, do you get anything out of that? I mean, what's the reason of them actually saying?
Okay, so here's, I'll give you a take. Just like his 3 friends, Job's righteous, or he's upright guy, and he told them to repent. And he said Job's kind of interceding for his friends because he's praying for them. And because he had so much high respect for Job's like a covering for his friends if their friends act right and repent. I believe that's the same way Job was a covering for his wife. Because he's right with God, even though she may not be, the covering is him over her.
It's good.
And the scripture said that even when he said she was a foolish woman, he still never sinned because he did not call her a
No,
fool.
he didn't. That's
Said
true.
to speak like a foolish woman.
Yeah. So he got to, he got everything a lot more towards the end. Which makes me think about a scripture in the New Testament, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, where it says that anyone who leaves house, land, spouse, children, whatever, for his sake, shall get 30, 40, 30, 60, 90, 100 fold or whatever. 30, 60, 100 fold. In this life, and with persecution. But he can replace what you lose. Whatever the enemy has taken from you, or actually this wasn't the enemy did take it away from him, but Yahweh allowed it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
He even spurred him on.
Yeah.
God can restore it because he is in the restoration business.
So really, the friends were taken away from what God was actually doing by saying that he needs to repent. In other words, God's the one who orchestrated this whole thing. And then the friends were saying, well, it's not, God didn't do it, you did it to yourself. But God was really doing it.
And so here's the thing that I do like this because the friends started off good because we talked about that 7 days they just stood there and didn't do nothing. They started off great, but isn't that how we do a lot, man? We start off great, and then when things just don't seem like, well, this doesn't mean this shit can't be like this. I got to put my 2 cents in. I've got to say something. This is not right. Yes.
Well, going back to Job's wife, that could have been a testimony.
Yeah.
Because she was the one who was like, why don't you curse God and die?
Yeah.
And if he had done that, then he wouldn't have gotten the blessing at the end. So maybe she needed to see that if he had listened, he wouldn't have made it to where they wouldn't have made it to where they were.
Huh. That kind of goes along with if you're married to an unbeliever, stay married to them. Because, and even if they're not even living like for God, because it may be your very way of living that may change them. But most people are ready to run. Oh, this is hard. He or she ain't living right. I got to get out of here. Instead of interceding, praying, being an example. You love them till they die. Till they come out of the old man and get born again and get new life. You love them to death. That's what you do. The old man, yeah, kill him. I know we want to sometimes. Mary, you want? Well, there we go. All right, we're gonna go.
Who knows to do good and don't do it is a sin. If you know to do good, do it.
Yep, that's right. Okay. All right, we're going to Genesis chapter 12.
Now the Lord had said to Abram,
Loud.
Get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you, and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed.
So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh. And the Canaanites were then in the land. Then the Lord appeared to Abram.
To your descendants I will give this land.
And there he built an altar to the Lord, who had appeared to him. And he moved from there to the mountain east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord, and called on the name of the Lord. So Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south.
All right, we're going to continue in 12, but so God comes up to you and he says, get out of here. Get out of your father's house, get out from with your family and go. And I'll tell you where to go. Most of us, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to figure this out, I got to figure that out. Well, how am I going to do it? Instead of God says it, okay, I'm going to go do it. Don't try and figure it out. I think we're our worst enemy. I really think we are more of an enemy to ourselves than the enemy is, the devil. Because the devil can't make you do nothing, but yourself will make you do a lot of things. That's why we have to learn to walk in the Spirit. Be more in the Spirit. And he says, I'll make a great nation. Oh, I'm giving you a great promise. maybe we're not having something like him, but there's things Yahweh said to us. We got to hold on to it. He says, I will bless those who bless you and curse him who curse you. That goes all the way to Israel, which is great. And all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Who fulfilled that promise? Yeshua did. Because all the nations, everyone's blessed through Yeshua if they receive what he has for them.
And that everyone's us. We're in that.
Yeah, we are.
That's each one of us.
Okay, so Abram took Sarah his wife and Lot his brother's son. Was the brother's son living there with him at the household or what?
Yeah.
But he did tell him to leave your house and your family's house. But he did take Lot.
Well,
Must have been, that's his nephew, right?
Lot, he had taken Lot as a son when Lot's dad, his brother died.
Yeah.
So he took him as his son.
Yeah. And what's the other one? Okay, so the Lord appeared to Abram. How do you think he appeared to him? Who do you think that was?
Yeshua.
Yep, I believe that.
Yeah, because nobody has seen the Lord's face.
That's right. I see a lot of people don't get that. They don't make that connection. Yeshua's been around for, he's our creator.
He's appeared lots of people.
And let me show you how technology is all the way back in Genesis 12, AI.
But it wasn't artificial.
No,
it was all-knowing intelligence.
I know. All right, let's keep going.
Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. And it came to pass, when he was close to entering Egypt, that he said to Sarai, his wife,
Indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore it will happen when the Egyptians see you, that they will say, This is his wife, and they will kill me. But they will let you live. Please say you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, and that I may live because of you.
So it was, when Abram came into Egypt, that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. The princes of Pharaoh also saw her, and commended her to Pharaoh. And the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. He treated Abram well for her sake. He had sheep, oxen, male donkeys, male and female servants, female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said,
What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister? I might have taken her as my wife. Now, therefore, here is your wife. Take her and go your way.
So Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had.
Okay, here's a question. Did Pharaoh do anything wrong?
No.
But what happened to him and his house?
Or to protect her and to protect Abraham, God struck them with a plague. They weren't able to have children.
And Pharaoh did nothing.
Yeah.
But guess who did do something? The princes of Pharaoh also saw her and commanded her to Pharaoh and commended her to Pharaoh. So but because Pharaoh is the main guy and they operate in Pharaoh's authority. Plus, remember the story of Achan? Where he sinned, he took stuff and hid it in the ground. Other people's sins can affect us and makes it. That's why we need to deal with our stuff so we don't let it affect other people that's around us. That's why repenting is so important. That's why it says confess your faults one to another that there may be healing. sometimes we aren't getting our healing because we ain't willing to own up to it, things that's going on. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. You could be having a Job moment where you did absolutely nothing. But Pharaoh, then God says he sends all those plagues and everything, then he's going, wait a minute, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
So God just let Abraham slide with kind of twisting the truth?
Well,
But he didn't really lie. She wasn't really dead. She was his sister. She was his half sister. So he didn't really lie.
That's exactly what I do. Like
But
if
he
I
didn't
tell
say-
a white lie, I'm like,
Okay.
oh no, I didn't. You know.
so if he didn't lie, why did he tell his wife to say that he's his sister, not his wife?
Well, but she was his sister and his wife.
Yeah,
But
was
he
being
said, don't
deceiving.
say you're my wife,
He
so
was
that
being
is lying.
He was withholding.
He was deceiving.
He was deceiving, yes.
He was being, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking
Prudent?
for? Well,
So how come Abraham didn't feel consequence? I thought it was only
He can have mercy on who he wants to have mercy on.
Okay.
when you,
So who appeared to
Omission. He was
who appeared to Abram just before this? He said I'm gonna make all generations are big nations are gonna be blessed because of you. I'm with you. I'm gonna give you all this. And now here he comes up here and he goes, oh, you're so beautiful. They're all looking at you. Oh my gosh, I know you're beautiful. You're awesome. I do that to Mary all the time. Tell me you're my said no. Don't think that's gonna fly.
So I know that we're not in the spirit part of it, but again, did he lie?
Yeah, he did lie.
But his heart, like, I don't know, maybe it's not the letter of the law even back then.
But the intent of his heart was to deceive.
It was.
That's exactly what it was.
So I guess that's something you just can't figure out.
It's fear.
I'll have mercy on who I want to have mercy on.
What is fear is the opposite of faith. He just was in the presence of Yahweh, and now he's fearing what man's going to do to him. We do that sometimes. That's my point. We're in the presence of Yahweh. We could just went to rejoice. We could just went to a conference, or for a month we could be on cloud 9 and be in the presence of Yahweh. And then we go into the world and all of a sudden something's going on and fear jump all over us. And you've just been in the presence with Yahweh. Why do we allow that? The moment, the situation become bigger than God, it seems like sometimes.
Okay, but God didn't even pull him over for speeding.
No.
He just let it go.
Yeah,
he just gave him complete mercy.
He did.
So then that just lets you know, just because you accidentally slip up doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he accidentally slipped up either.
But not only that
You
though.
can't turn that way.
But he acquired a lot of stuff while he was there in Egypt.
Yeah, he did.
He acquired flocks and herds,
Yeah, he did.
donkeys, and he.
Okay, but so here's where I'm getting with though. You got a new believer and they read that. What are you telling them? It's okay to actually say a white lie because you get away with it?
It's not.
He did get away with it though.
That
But
God
did he?
can have mercy on him.
Well, I don't know.
Well, no, he did get away with it. His wife actually left him for a while and was with them.
There you go. That's fair.
So I want you to think about how, okay, I'll meet. Your wife's beautiful. You know she's beautiful. And here a bunch of men just took her to Pharaoh, and now she's in the Pharaoh's house. And there you are. You mean to tell me that's not going to mess with your mind?
That's a good point.
There's torture right there just in that.
Well, that's good.
And then you're going to start blaming yourself. Oh my gosh, I asked my wife to lie, and they just took her.
There you
And
go.
oh my gosh, she's going to become, I'm going to lose my wife. She's going to become, it doesn't say that, but just use human, yeah.
But also, in terms of like a new believer, that shows them that this person is human, right? Because people
Correct.
tend to think that people in the Bible were way above and beyond.
And that
So
he
it
was
shows
merciful.
them
That is.
that he's human. So yeah, he made a mistake, but it also gave him a road to redemption
And see that
because
God
he
is
had to turn
merciful.
away from it and be like, I really messed up.
Shows Yahweh's grace.
It shows
Way
that
back here.
we the people are tangible, but
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
merciful.
Yahweh is
always.
all of it. He's
Yeah.
everything.
All right, so now we're just going to go to Genesis 13, but we're just going to do a summary and outline verses.
Genesis chapter 13 summary. Abram and Lot become wealthy herdsmen in Canaan, which leads to strife. Lot moves to Sodom and Abram moves to Hebron, where Yahweh blesses him with land and offspring. Chapter 12 outline verses. 1. Abram returns to the Negev in Canaan. 2. Abram's wealth. 3 to 4. Abram returns to his altar near Bethel and uses the name Yahweh. 5 to 7. Strife between Abram and Lot. 8 to 9. Abram offers to separate. 10 to 13. Lot chooses to go east to the Jordan Valley near Sodom. Abram remains. 14 to 17. Yahweh blesses Abram with land and offspring. 18. Abram moves to Hebron and builds an altar.
Okay, anybody got anything you want to say about chapter 13? I'm sure you read it on the day that it said to read it for your devotion for the week.
Well, so Abraham had the first choice because he was the one who God sent out. And as Lot was acting as his son, the father always has precedence over the son, right? So Abraham could have taken the best land that he wanted and just say, look, Lot, you came with me, and God gave me the vision. So here's what you do. You take that land there, and I'm going to take this. But he didn't do that.
No.
He said, I'll give you first choice, Lot. You look and see whatever land you want. And if you take the right, I'm going to go left. And if you take left, I'm going to go right.
Yeah.
And when Lot looked, he saw the beautiful land ahead of him. It was just plain and everything was, and he says, oh, I want that. So he got that. And Abraham said, okay, I'll go this way and I'll take everything else that's on this side.
Yeah, I think Lot's seen the city.
But not everything that looks good is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the grass is not always
not
green,
all,
huh?
No, the grass is only green where you water it.
That's right.
He's seen the Vegas Strip. Said, I like that.
Yep. So he was a real peacemaker. They had strife between the herdsmen, between Lot's people and his people, and he was a peacemaker. He said, all right, we got to split up. You can choose what you want.
Yep.
I'll keep the peace. You just choose it. Because he knows Yahweh's on his side, and Yahweh's going to bless him no matter, because he's already given him promises. And yeah, and then Abram gets blessed and he builds an altar. He's worshiping. He puts a place to worship Yahweh and do sacrifices. It's awesome. I only got 2 verses out of this that I'm going to play.
Genesis chapter 13 verses 12 to 13. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, but Lot lived in the cities of the valley and set up his tent near Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were evil, sinning greatly against Yahweh.
So, I think many times because of our flesh, because what the world can offer to our flesh, we flirt with disaster. We'll sometimes get as close as we can get to it without actually maybe even doing it because it looks good, sounds good. And there's a real big, huge danger in that. I'll never forget, Mary, you might remember this. Years ago when I was a youth pastor, I was talking about the temptation of sin and how we flirt with sin. And this, it was about this little bitty boy who got a new car that his mom gave him. And she said, go out there by the pool and play with your car in the pool, but don't get near the water. And he said, okay. So he's going over and he's getting as close to the edge as he can to the pool. And he looks over and sees his dad's waders. So he goes, ding, question mark. I mean, the idea that he runs over, grabs the wader, puts the waders on all the way up to his waist, gets in the pool, and he's going, I'm in the pool and I'm not getting wet. And then he keeps walking, and then it goes up and starts getting, and he gets all wet. The water gets on him, and he gets in trouble with his mother. We flirt with sin like that sometimes. We flirt with weights and things that can draw us away or slow us down from Yahweh. We'll get as close as we can to it. And not really, if you think about it, and now, confession, I've always wanted to go visit Las Vegas because of the lights and they have fights there and all that stuff going on. But you know what they call Las Vegas?
Sin City.
Sin City. So why do I want to? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Why do I even want to even partake of that? Is there still something I want to fulfill in my flesh that I feel like I got to do?
Only you can answer that.
No, I'm just saying, because the lights are cool. It looks cool, and I've always wanted to go to a boxing match there or something. I don't know if
I
it's...
don't know if that's wrong.
No, but I'm just saying they call it Sin City, so why do I want to go to Sin City?
Just ignore all the people on the side of the road.
It's just, for example, I would never do this, because I used to do it, and I know when I was a rock star in my own mind, I used to sing a song by AC/DC.
Sin City.
I'm on the highway to hell.
Sin City.
And I sung Sin City too. Now I would never sing those songs again now. Why not? Because of what it represents. Well, they literally call it the Sin City. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, we're going to go to chapter 14 now, and same thing, summary.
Genesis chapter 14 summary. Lot is captured by the 4 kings of Mesopotamia, who defeat the 5 kings of the Jordan Valley. Abram saves Lot by defeating the 4 kings in the north past Damascus. Abram is blessed by the king of Salem and returns the plunder to the king of Sodom. Chapter 14 outline verses 1 to 9. A battle is waged between the 4 kings of Mesopotamia and the 5 kings of the Jordan Valley. 10. The kings of Sodom and Gomorrah hide in bitumen pits. 11 to 12. Lot and the other Sodomites are captured. 13. Abram is informed. 14 to 15. Abram and 300 men defeat the 4 kings north of Damascus. 16. Lot is returned. 17. The king of Sodom meets Abram. 18 to 20. King Melchizedek of Salem blesses Abram and Yahweh, called the highest God. 21 to 24. Abram tells the king of Sodom that he will not keep the plunder for himself, though his servants may take.
So you know how Hollywood steals from the Bible? A lot. Abram and 300 men. You ever seen the movie called 300? Huh?
That was Gerard Butler. I'm sure all the ladies have seen that one. You know where the weight room's at?
So I have to laugh because Yeshua said, "Hey, you've heard it said, but I say that a man that looks upon a woman and lusts at her is as if he's already done it." And I'm going, well, what about the woman that looks at the 6-pack on the guy? Same thing. The Lord just goes,
What about the woman that actually likes a big gut and belly? There's a couple of those out there.
give me a keg over a 6-pack. I don't think so. Oh, man. Okay, the only thing I'm going to mention on here is that there's a tithe given here. Did anybody catch that when they read it?
Yeah.
With Melchizedek?
Abraham.
Yeah.
Gave him
There was no law for tithing yet. So here, my point is, God has given man instructions since the time man was created.
Facts.
And Torah is really instructions. That's what it means. It means instructions. Yes, it means the 5 books too, but it means instructions. So God's always given instructions. And as it progresses, man had to start writing them down because they thought that might help them. No. Yahweh was trying to help us out and give us our instructions because man would do terrible at it. All right, so now let's go. Anybody got anything else to say in 14? We'll go to 15. We're actually going to read this one.
Now, is this in verse 13, is that the first time he called him?
Yeah, it is. It's the first time, yeah. Yahweh. Yep. So there's some more intimacy happening here. He's calling by his name now. Pretty cool. God's showing himself up. And we know what that means, right? Yahweh. Yeshua means what? Yahweh saves.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go chapter 15.
After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision.
Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward.
Lord God, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus? Look, you have given me no offspring. Indeed, one born in my house is my heir.
And behold, the word of the Lord came to him.
This one shall not be your heir, but one who will come from your own body shall be your heir.
Then he brought him outside.
Look now toward heaven, and count the stars, if you are able to number them. So shall your descendants be.
And he believed in the Lord, and he accounted it to him for righteousness.
I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to inherit it.
Lord God, how shall I know that I will inherit it?
Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon.
Then he brought all these to him, and cut them in two, down the middle, and placed each piece opposite the other. But he did not cut the birds in two. And when the vultures came down on the carcasses, Abram drove them away. Now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and behold, horror and great darkness fell upon him. Then he said to Abram,
Know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. And also the nation whom they serve I will judge. Afterward they shall come out with great possessions. Now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall return here, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete.
And it came to pass, when the sun went down and it was dark, that behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a burning torch that passed between those pieces. On the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram.
To your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites.
That's a lot of heights.
So one thing about Abraham, right?
Yeah.
You said that he went to fight for his nephew Lot, and he won.
Yeah.
But you know that he came from the Chaldeans, and they were evil fighters. They were evil people,
Yeah.
and God used them to punish his people.
Yeah.
So that's how he knew how to fight.
Yeah. So I love this part right here. So he again, fear, and then God, Yahweh tells him not to fear. And then he tells him that your descendants, he said they'll be afflicted for 400 years. And he says, but you're going to go, you'll be in peace. So even though there may be a judgment come upon a nation, that doesn't mean you have to be in that judgment of that nation, even though you live there. if you live right and you do right with Yahweh, He may spare you. He may give you peace through all that. That's what I pray for. And here's the great thing. Then in verse 17, then it came to pass when the sun went down, there appeared a smoking oven or a pot and a burning torch that passed between those pieces. So he put that offering and all that and split it up. And then here you have a pot. You have the invisible man that's carrying a pot and a burning torch that's passing through those pieces. Yahweh is walking through those pieces with the offering, burning the offering with the pot and the torch. And that is a pointing, even back then, Yahweh's doing it for Abraham. He's taking care of Abraham. He paid the sacrifice. He's doing the sacrifice. This is a covenant that he's making, and he's saying, I'm going to make the covenant work. Already it's a pointing, a shadowing of what Yeshua has done in the new covenant. It's very interesting. But how would you, you see an oven or a pot and a torch going through, just floating. Going right through there. Pretty wild.
I'll smoke with you.
Supernatural. Yeah, it's supernatural. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool. All right, we're going to go to 16 now. Anybody got something to say? No? Nothing there, Mary? Okay. We're going to read 16.
Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram,
See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please, go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her.
And Abram heeded the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Then Sarai said to Abram,
My wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between you and me.
Indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please.
And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. Now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said,
Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from? And where are you going?
I'm fleeing from the presence of my mistress, Sarai.
Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hand. I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude.
All right, before we finish this, so in chapter 15, we just read that Yahweh appeared to Abram, and told him, and Abram, I don't have anybody. I have nobody in my lineage. I don't have a person. There's only one that's living in my house. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to come from you, from your loins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then here we go.
10 years later.
10 years later, and because he can't wait, and because Abram heeded the voice of his wife. That is where man loses it. When a man heeds the voice of his wife over the voice of God, he's looking for trouble. Not that he shouldn't heed the voice of his wife, because many times the voice of his wife has a lot of wisdom, and it's exactly what Yahweh's trying to say to him. But he knew what Yahweh had already said to him, and he's listening to the voice, just like Adam did, listening to the voice of Eve when he already knew what he was supposed to do. He heeded the voice of his wife. Yes.
But Sarai wasn't there when the Lord spoke to him and told him, no, your servant is
I
not
know.
going to be your offspring. I'm going to give you an offspring that's going to come from you. She wasn't there so he could have said,
He
no,
should
that's
have
not what the Lord told me.
He should have said
But
that.
he didn't do that.
And Adam should have told Eve, no, I'm not eating that. You shouldn't have ate that.
But not only that, it says Abraham believed the Lord.
Yes.
It was counted unto him for
Yes, and then this happens afterward.
Yeah.
10 years later.
Yeah.
But remember, 10 years
But
is
he-
short back then because they lived a lot longer. So
But he's thinking, okay, 10 years have passed and nothing's happened. So maybe this is what I need to do.
yeah, so maybe God didn't know what he was saying in the first place. We try to help God out and figure it out.
Maybe the maid looked really cute.
Well, she probably was pretty awesome, and he probably went, well, not a bad idea.
Well, but see, but because God had made a promise that he was going to multiply Abraham's seed, he couldn't go back on his word, so he had to multiply Ishmael.
Yeah, and
he had to multiply.
Yeah,
his
he was
seed.
going to, yeah. But we always want to help God out. If he says a promise and he tells us what he's going to do and how it's going to be, we just have to believe him. Quit trying to help him out. Just do it. Believe him and go with it. And then what happened here? Here's another thing. He says, Yahweh says to Hagar, where have you come from and where are you going? Who did he say that to?
To the accuser of the brethren.
Yes.
Where did you come from?
Yeah, where you come from.
He said from roaming to and from the earth.
So she's the devil. So he tells her to return and submit yourself under her hand. Not despising her, not doing all that. She should submit to her. Now look, she's being, she is, Sarah's dealing harshly with her.
Yeah.
And Yahweh says, you go back and you submit to her. Some way, somehow, we think if people aren't treating us right, we have a right not to submit. We have a right not to act, to love them. We have a right not to do what Yahweh says. No, we don't. Matter of fact, if we're dead people, we don't have rights. We're supposed to be dead. It's no longer us that live, it's Yeshua living in us. We forget that. And he says, I give you a promise. Go back, do that. He says, I'll multiply your descendants exceedingly. They should be counted and shall not be counted for multitude. Be so many. Again, I'm going to get into this a little bit and a little bit later, though. Let's finish this one.
Behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction. He shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees. For she said,
Have I also here seen him who sees me?
Therefore the well was called Beer Hairoi. Observe, it is between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son. And Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram.
All right, just remember Ishmael. We'll get into that a little bit later. What it says about him. He shall be a wild man. And his hand be against every man and every man's hand against him.
And his brothers.
Yeah.
His brothers.
All right, so just remember that.
When
17.
Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram.
Okay, now wait a minute. How old is he here?
99.
Wait a minute. How old is he here when?
86.
86.
When he had Ishmael, he was 86.
Yes, and now.
10 years later.
Okay.
The Lord appeared to Abram.
I am Almighty God. Walk before me and be blameless. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly.
Then Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him.
As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you, and your descendants after you in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you, and your descendants after you. Also I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male child among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you.
Anybody got anything they want to say before we go on? So what's the sign of the covenant?
Circumcision.
Okay.
He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised, every male child in your generations, he who is born in your house, or bought with money from any foreigner who is not your descendant. He who is born in your house, and he who is bought with your money, must be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh, for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male child, who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. As for Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her, and also give you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of peoples shall be from her.
Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart,
Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child?
And Abraham said to God,
Oh, that Ishmael might live before you.
No, Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this set time next year.
Then he finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. So Abraham took Ishmael his son, all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskins that very same day, as God had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very same day, Abraham was circumcised, and his son Ishmael, and all the men of his house, born in the house or bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised with him.
Okay, so he's gonna bless Ishmael because Abraham asked him to, right? And then Yahweh says, but my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at the set. So he's already told him his name. And told him he's gonna, and who the covenant's gonna be with. Man, and then, guess what? So that very same day, Abraham was circumcised, and his son Ishmael. Ishmael, the covenant's not even with Ishmael, and he's still got to get circumcised.
All these households.
All of them are.
Yeah, everybody.
So was Ishmael in the covenant? Was he?
Well, he wasn't the covenant. He wasn't the covenant that God is establishing with Isaac,
Yeah.
but he was under Abraham's covenant covering. So he was under the covenant as well.
We'll see about that later, about the lineage that comes from Ishmael and what problems we have still today because of it. Those keep reading.
Then the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth
This is
trees of
18.
Mamre,
Genesis
as he
18.
was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him.
Oh, I forgot. How many was it Yahweh appeared to him? Then it was like 10 years later, and he appeared to him, then it's like 10 years later.
13 years
So
later.
it's not like every day Yahweh's coming down the cool evening, he's walking with these people. So we think if we haven't heard a word every single day, there's something wrong with us. We are such a microwave society. Everything's instant, and right now we got out of it.
Well, the problem with that now is that if you wait 10 years to get an answer, you're 82 years old.
Well, that's me. That's true.
Because the timing's different back then.
That's true. That is true.
But we have His word, and when we read the Bible, though, we can get our answers from the Bible.
True.
For the most part,
So,
yes.
They didn't have it. They didn't
No, they didn't.
have the Bible.
No, but he came down.
So that's right.
Came
So
down
he
and just.
came-
But if now I think be human. You seen him 10 years ago, and you haven't heard from him again.
Yeah, I'd be discouraged.
Well, but you're getting blessed.
I understand. I understand that, but
You know?
human nature is
Okay,
so weird.
So that brings up this question, though. Just because you're getting blessed also doesn't mean that you're walking the. I mean, obviously Ishmael's getting blessed, and he's going to end up turning into a freak later on.
That was ordained, though. He couldn't. God said he was.
Well, but my point is just because you're getting blessed, don't mean. Some people think just because they're getting all this stuff that they're walking in the will of God. I know a friend of mine right now that thinks he's right where he needs to be, hasn't even been walking with God in a long, long time.
The problem is when we compare being blessed with the way the world looks at being blessed,
yes.
you're already messed up.
Absolutely, good point.
You already got the wrong thing going on. All right, so let's continue.
Then the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth trees of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground.
My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please, let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, and I will bring a morsel of bread that you may refresh your hearts. After that, you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant.
Do as you have said.
So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah, and said,
Quickly make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it and make cakes.
And Abraham ran to the herd, took a tender and good calf, gave it to the young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Then they said to him,
Where is Sarah, your wife?
Here, in the tent.
I will certainly return to you according to the time of life. And behold, Sarah, your wife, shall have a son.
Sarah was listening in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing.
Okay, so he saw him and he ran from the tent door to meet them. You think it's the same person that appeared to him before and he recognized him?
He recognized Yeshua.
Yep. And, oh, please let a little water be brought and wash your feet.
And there's too much feet washing.
So, now, the culture back then, and the way people lived back then, and the way God set things up, Sarah called Abraham what?
Lord. Yeah.
So I chuckled because I'm going, I see he ran, he quickly, he comes in, he hurried into the tent. Sarah don't know what's going on. He runs in the tent and he says, quickly, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, and make cakes. And then Abraham leaves. If you go run into your, hey, Mary, I need 3 cakes. Why? What? Who's going on? What are you doing? What's that? How come? What's this? Right there? Back then, if the guy said something, they just did it. He's my husband. He's the boss. But now it's, you ain't the boss to me.
All right, Mary, I expect you to say one house every day.
No, I'm just,
I know I'm playing.
the world would be so much better if we did things the way the Bible says to do it and did things in the proper order.
It just sounds weird.
Because even in the New Testament it says that God is over the man and the man is over the woman. And women do not get that. It literally says that.
No, but honestly, in all the stories that we've read so far, it's not that the woman's dropped the ball, because technically God already says that it's the man that drops the ball.
Yeah, he is.
God already said that. I hate saying I'm surrounded by women, but women are the weak, the weaker part.
Yes, and we're supposed to do right.
So if men were men, then we probably wouldn't be in the situation we're in now.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is that the way things have progressed now, that it's almost flipped.
Well, the definition of a man is not the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's almost flipped. It flips to the point now where they don't even know what a woman even is.
100%. What is a woman?
It's crazy. All right, let's continue on.
Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying,
After I have grown old, shall I have pleasure? My Lord being old also.
And the Lord said to Abraham,
Why did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I surely bear a child, since I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you, according to the time of life. And Sarah shall have a son.
But Sarah denied it, for she was afraid.
I did not laugh.
No, but you did laugh.
Then the men rose from there and looked towards Sodom. And Abraham went with them to send them on the way. And the Lord said,
Shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing? Since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him, in order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord to do righteousness and justice, that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him. Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I will know.
Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom. But Abraham still stood before the Lord, and Abraham came near.
Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked?
Okay. Abraham laughed when they said, "Can I have a child?" Sarah laughed. And she even added, "Shall I have pleasure?"
Yes.
My Lord being old also? He's old man, he can't do nothing. How am I going to have pleasure? Don't say it, Mary. You're old. You're old, Pastor Tim. Is anything too hard for the Lord? No. We need to remember that. He can do anything. So here's the thing. In verse 20 it says, because of the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave. And then in verse 21 he says, I will go down and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against them that has come to me, and if not, I will know. Don't he already know?
Yeah.
So why is he going there to find out?
Because he wants to, I guess he just
wants to prove it to himself.
He already knows.
It's very interesting.
He did it to save what?
But he says, I will go down to see what they have done. Justifies a cry that has come up to me.
Yeah. And then I will know.
And and he knew that they were wicked already.
Yeah, that's the
And
interesting.
knew everything they did.
So everything's a witness. Everything's a witness. Then he turned away from there and went to Sodom. So now we get to Sodom. So now we get to the first auctioneer. Except for he's going backwards. He's starting high and going down instead of going down. Starting low and going up.
Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?
If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes.
Indeed, now, I who am but dust and ashes have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose there were 5 less than the 50 righteous. Would you destroy all of the city for lack of 5?
If I find there 45, I will not destroy it.
Suppose there should be 40 found there.
I will not do it for the sake of 40.
Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 should be found there.
I will not do it if I find 30 there.
Indeed. Now, I have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 should be found there.
I will not destroy it for the sake of 20.
Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but once more. Suppose 10 should be found there.
I will not destroy it for the sake of 10.
So the Lord went his way as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham. And Abraham returned to his place.
So you think Abraham was trying to intercede for Lot without really saying Lot's name?
He was, because he knew that there weren't that many people righteous there, only Lot and his family. So he was really interceding for them.
Got it all the way down to 10.
Because that would include Lot and his wife and his children and his children's spouse if they had any. So.
Yeah. And we know what happened. All right, so we're going to go to Genesis 19. This is just going to be a summary. And then we can talk about it if you see anything you want to talk about.
Genesis chapter 19 summary. The townspeople of Sodom attempt to rape the 2 travelers who are staying with Lot. Yahweh destroys Sodom and Gomorrah, but saves Lot and his daughters, though Lot's wife is turned to salt. Lot's daughters cohabit with their father and give birth to the nations of Moab and Ammon. Chapter 19 outline verses. 1 to 29, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. 1 to 3, Lot convinces the two visitors to lodge by him. 4 to 5, the townspeople demand the men for sex. 6 to 8, Lot offers his daughters instead. 9, the townspeople attempt to break in. 10 to 11, the visitors shield Lot and blind the townspeople at the door. 12 to 13, the visitors tell Lot to gather his family before they destroy the city. 14, Lot's sons-in-law do not believe the warning. 15 to 17, the visitors drag Lot and his family out of Sodom as a kindness. 18 to 22, the visitors allow Lot to flee to Zoar, understood to mean insignificance.
All right, so we got some more, but Lot's convincing the visitors are angels. You guys know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here they all come. Here comes the San Francisco. Here they come. All the, what's the word I'm looking for? The woke. We want them. Give them to us.
Why aren't they woke?
And in this story here, Lot says, hey, I have 2 virgin daughters. Instead of having these 2 men, take my daughters. Wow. Because he understands who they are. And again, we have to think of God more highly than any other person. That's amazing when you think about it. So they try to break in, and then these angels blind the people. They're supernatural. They literally blind them so they can't see. And then they walk right through them. It's amazing. So if they can blind people, they can make things invisible, God can do anything. So I believe, just like I've said before, God can make us invisible in plain sight. In broad daylight. When those tanks are driving by, they could drive right by us and not even see us. Because he's made us a safe haven. Interesting. And then, where's it? Has it talked about her turning into salt yet? No. Okay, we gotta keep going.
23 to 25, Yahweh destroys the people and vegetation of Sodom and Gomorrah with sulfurous fire. 26, Lot's wife looked back and turned to a pillar of salt. 27 to 28, Abraham views the destruction. 29, Lot was saved on account of Abraham. 30 to 38, the creation of Moab and Ammon. 30, Lot and his daughters flee to a cave in the highlands. 31 to 36, the daughters, who think the world is destroyed, give Lot wine and cohabitate with him. 37, the older daughter bears Moab, meaning from the father. 38, the younger daughter bears Ammon, meaning the son of my people.
So Lot's wife looked back. It's one of the shortest scriptures. Remember Lot's wife. How often do we want to hold on to the world? That's looking back. The Bible says that he who looks back not fit for the kingdom. When you grab hold of the plow and you're looking back all the time, because if you're looking back, you can't keep that straight line that we have to walk. You're going to be all over the place. And so many times we're looking back at what we had before, looking back. There's nothing we can do about the past. Nothing. Except learn from it and move forward. So we always got to keep forward. And that's all I'm going to say on any of that, unless somebody wants to bring something up. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes?
Moab.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would make him in the lineage, the previous lineage of Yeshua.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it?
And his daughters are no longer virgins, and you don't see a lot even complain about that happening.
They got him drunk.
I mean, even after, when he found out what had happened, He's not upset about it,
No.
evidently.
So,
Well, yeah, it's not recorded anyway.
so,
How can you get that drunk?
that's what I was gonna say. How are you that drunk you don't know who you're with?
Or that you're with anybody.
Well, but I say that, but then I remember I drove home in my days when I was big in sin. I would drive home and not know how I got home. But I drove. I was literally in the car and drove home, drove myself home, and don't even remember it.
I've done that.
So, it's possible.
Last week, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
I have done that. So when I was in the military, I drove home one time. I had no clue how I got back to the barracks.
All right, so we're going to go to chapter 20, and we're going to do the summary there too.
Genesis chapter 20 summary. Abimelech, king of Gerar, takes Sarah when Abraham tells him she is his sister. Yahweh appears to Abimelech and tells him not to touch Sarah, lest he and the members of his household die. Abimelech returns Sarah to Abraham along with land, silver, and cattle, and Yahweh allows the women of Gerar to give birth again. Chapter 20 outline verses. 1. Abraham's group travels to Gerar. 2. Abraham introduces Sarah as his sister, and King Abimelech takes her. 3-7. God warns Abimelech to release Sarah, lest he and his people die. 8. Abimelech informs his servants, who are terrified. 9-10. Abimelech confronts Abraham about his lie. 11-13. Abraham reveals his distrust of Abimelech and his own paternal kinship to Sarah. 14-16. Abimelech gives Abraham Sarah, cattle, silver, and land. 17. Abraham prays and Abimelech's women are able to give birth. 18. Note, Yahweh had closed the wombs of Abimelech's women on account of Sarah.
So he does the same thing again.
Abraham 2.0.
So Sarah must have been, what, 90 now?
You're right.
And still look fine?
Evidently.
Yeah, because they lived long back in those days.
Yeah.
I don't know why she was calling her so old, sis. Apparently you
Remember, she was just complaining, am I going to have pleasure? And I'm this old, and then...
And now these other guys are still
I was going to say something, but I'll...
Yeah, thank you. And then, because, now did Amalek do anything wrong?
No. Abimelech.
God told
Not
him
unless
that
it was
too.
in his mind.
No.
Well, he takes her, but he says it's my sister.
Yeah.
So the very thing that he didn't want to happen, happened.
Yeah. And because of it, now, okay, so now here's the thing I want you to think about. It says Yahweh had closed the wombs of Amalek's women on account of Sarah. She had to be there a while. For them to know that the women's wombs were closed, she had to be in that place for a while for them to know that that's what was happening. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's amazing. So all this time, it had to be at least a year, I'm thinking, or more. Because it takes 9 months, right?
Yeah.
None of the women are getting pregnant, and all of a sudden they're going, what's going on? What's happening? Oh. It doesn't really say, I don't think. I don't remember. It's possible it might have said somewhere, but I don't remember it. But I think it's interesting. So again, Abram is lying. That's what he is. He's lying. He's doing it. And now he's without his wife for I don't know how long again. Then what's he thinking of? Oh, what's the king doing? Is he taking her as my wife? As his wife? Oh my gosh.
It's like a Jerry Springer episode.
Or is he just going over to his concubines and not worrying about it?
This is crazy. You are not the father.
You are not the father. That's great. It is. You got something to say, Lori?
Well, both times though. Both times. He comes out with all kinds of
Yeah,
goods,
yeah.
cattle and silver
Yeah.
and land and all kinds of stuff. It's like he lies or he deceives.
Oh.
And
Well, maybe he's going, hey, I'm going to get blessed right now. Hey, go ahead, take her. Because I know what Yahweh's going to do. He's going to bless me.
But that's that just shows God's love, you know.
Yes.
It
People
is,
were
yes.
disobedient, you know.
Well, he made a covenant with Abraham, and he's going to make sure that happens.
And even though Abraham was not cooperating, he was going to still.
But Abraham was cooperating, but he had a couple times in his life where he had fear going on, and
Okay, so
being
this,
deceptive.
so this is.
It's not his lifestyle, but there's a couple times.
But on top of that, that really, really brings things into perspective, because you cannot judge somebody else based off on criteria that you know they might be doing when you have no clue what's going on in their life.
Correct, yeah.
God could be doing something that you might think is like, but it might be something that he's actually doing. We don't really
Yeah.
even know.
True. Yep, very good. So I like it. Abraham prays for them. And now it's okay. So he prays. Now how long did it have to take before they knew that now their wombs are open? So it takes 9 months, right? So he prays. 9 months later, they start popping out babies. So
Well, they would probably know before 9 months.
Well, how do they? Well, yeah,
Yeah, they would
because
know.
somebody's pregnant. Yeah, they find out 2 or 3 months later. Oh, look, we got a baby. Somebody's in the oven.
Wait, what's going on there?
But what if there were ladies who were pregnant during that time?
Huh? Do what?
What if there were ladies who were like about to give birth and now they can't?
I don't know. I don't know how that works. Yeah, their wombs were closed, so they couldn't have any babies.
No, I'm saying like right before, like they were like, oh, I know I'm pregnant because I'm about
What
to
if they were
pop.
pregnant
Yeah.
before?
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think so. I don't think that.
Boom.
So now they're walking around with a baby in them all that time? They had a C-section or what?
No,
That sounds like what's that reality show, 16 and Pregnant? She goes, I didn't know I was pregnant, and now the kid's coming out. It's like, for 9 months, you had no clue you were pregnant. That was the excuse she said.
I didn't laugh.
I didn't.
Hey, that has happened.
That's
I know a girl that happened to. She was really tiny, and she was even tiny at like 9 months. And they were like, her coach was like, you need to get on the track, like you're gaining weight, and nothing was like wrong with her. And then
So
she
through
went
the
to
whole 9
the
months?
bathroom.
Yeah,
She was spotting. So you would think that that's her monthly coming on or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So she didn't think anything of it. And then she went to the bathroom and
She had a baby.
you about to give it. Yeah.
My sister was old and was in her going
I mean, it's
through
not
her
funny.
changes, so she wasn't a young woman, and she was pregnant and had no clue that she was, and her oldest daughter was 22 at that time, so she thought just was having pain in her stomach. She had no idea she was pregnant.
I can see both those ladies now going, how did I get pregnant?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say anything. I've never given birth, so I
Said
can't
she
say.
was going through the changes,
It's
and she
interesting.
just didn't know
Yeah,
that
it
she
is.
was.
It's weird. You carry around a baby for 9 months,
Yeah.
have no
Yeah.
clue.
All right, 21.
No idea.
We want to do the summary on 21.
Gotta go to the bathroom.
Genesis chapter 21 summary. Abraham and Sarah have a son in their old age, and the boy, who is circumcised on the 8th day, is named Isaac, Yitzhak, because people will laugh, Yitzhak, at the age of his parents. Upon Sarah's request and Yahweh's blessing, Abraham sends his slave Hagar and their mutual son Ishmael into the desert, where Yahweh takes care of the two. Abraham and Abimelech make a pact demonstrating Abraham's ownership of Beersheba, the well of 7, with 7 ewes. Chapter 21 outline verses. 1 to 8, the birth of Isaac. 1 to 2, Yahweh grants Sarah a son. 3, Abraham names the boy Isaac. 4, circumcision on the 8th day. 5, Abraham's age, 100. 6 to 7, Sarah's etymology for Isaac. Yitzhak, people will laugh, Yitzchak, at the parent's age. 8, Abraham held a feast on Isaac's weaning day. 9 to 21, the expulsion of Hagar and Ishmael. 9 to 10, Sarah tells Abraham to cast off Hagar the slave and her son Ishmael born to Abraham. 11 to 13, Yahweh agrees with the plan. Isaac will inherit Abraham and Ishmael will become a nation. 14, Abraham sends Hagar and Ishmael off with some bread and water. 15 to 16, dying of thirst, Hagar distances herself from Ishmael and cries. 17 to 18, Yahweh hears Ishmael's cries and informs Hagar that Ishmael will become a nation. 19, a well appears to Hagar and she drinks with Ishmael. 20 to 21, Ishmael becomes a bowman in the desert and marries an Egyptian. 22 to 34, Abraham and Abimelech's pact. 22 to 24, Abraham swears to be honest to Abimelech and his general Phicol. 25, Abraham reproaches Abimelech for the loss of a well. 26, Abimelech denies knowledge. 27 to 31, Abraham and Abimelech make a pact with 7 ewes, hence the place was named Beersheba, the well of 7. 32, Abimelech and Phicol return to Philistia. 33, Abraham plants a tamarisk tree and calls in the name of Yahweh at Beersheba. 34, Abraham dwells in Philistia for many days.
Okay, so Abraham swears to be honest to Abimelech, so now he's going to, I'll be honest with you. I know I've lied to you before, but I'll be honest with you now. You ever been talking to somebody and said, well, to be honest,
Yeah.
so you've been lying to me all this time before, now you're being honest? Anybody want to say about this? 21?
32, Abimelech and Phicol return to Genesis chapter 22 summary. Yahweh commands Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac, and Abraham lifts the knife in readiness. Yahweh stops Abraham and blesses him with powerful and numerous offspring. The descendants of Abraham's brother Nahor are listed. Chapter 22 outline verses. 1 to 19, the test of Abraham. 1a, introduction to Abraham's test. 1b2, Yahweh tells Abraham to sacrifice Isaac in Moriah. 3, Abraham prepares for the sacrifice and journey. 4 to 6, on the 3rd day of the journey, Abraham and Isaac arrive. 7 to 8, Isaac asks where the sheep is. Abraham replies that Yahweh will provide. 9 to 10, Abraham binds Isaac to an altar and prepares to slaughter him. 11 to 12, a messenger of Yahweh tells Abraham to stop. It is now known Abraham fears Yahweh. 13, Abraham sacrifices a ram that appears in the thicket.
Okay, we'll finish this, but I want to stop here. I love the story. Abraham says, he tells them, you all stay here, me and the boy will return. Yeah. So he already knows. Then when he gets there, Yahweh tells him to sacrifice him, and he says, I know that he's the promised son, so if I kill him, if I do what God says and I kill him, he's going to have to resurrection. He's going to have to, because he made a promise. Yeah. That is some faith.
Yeah. It's also redemption, because he wasn't really listening to the Lord for real, like he was supposed to. So now you have to.
So here's another thing. So he must have really known Yahweh was speaking to him, because you don't kill people for God like that. You don't sacrifice humans. That's what they did to false gods. They sacrificed humans.
That's what Molech did.
Yes. So Yahweh's telling him to sacrifice him.
He was 100% knew that God was going to take care of him in order for him to do that.
Yep.
But here's the thing. When Isaac said to him, he said, Father, here's the fire and here's the wood. But where is the sacrifice?
Yeah.
And he said that God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering. That is Yeshua.
Yeah.
Because he was the lamb.
Yeah.
But that's also, Yeshua, God said you're going to have a child. Procreate to somebody who he was not supposed to. God said you're going to have a child. He laughs, I'm old. Like,
she laughs, I'm old.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he kept telling you you're going to do this, and there was questions, there was not believing, there was whatever. So now that you have the child, are you going to listen to me and just do what I say, or are you going to question it and not do what I said? And he 100% was like...
So he finally learned his lesson. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish the rest of this.
14, Abraham names the site Yahweh appears. 15 to 18, Yahweh blesses Abraham via a messenger with numerous, powerful, and blessed descendants. 19, Abraham returns to Beersheba. 20 to 24, the genealogy of Nahor, Abraham's brother. 20 to 23, the children of Nahor and Milcah. 24, the children of Nahor and his concubine Reumah.
So earlier, we had AI, and now we have Messenger.
Stop it.
I guess they did have technology back then. All right, now we're going to chapter 23, summary.
Genesis chapter 23 summary. Sarah dies and Abraham buys the cave of Machpelah from Ephron the Hittite and buries her in it. Chapter 23 outline verses. 1. The years of Sarah's life. 2:8 Sarah's death. 2b4. Abraham mourns and asks the Hittites for a burial plot. 5-6 The Hittites grant Abraham his request. 7-9 Abraham asks for the Machpelah cave from Ephron at full price. 10-16 Abraham and Ephron agree on a 400 shekel price and make the transaction. 17-18 The transaction is made before the Hittites. 19 Abraham buries Sarah.
Okay, anything on 23 that you guys read that you...
I wonder if a telemarketer called and tried to sell him a cemetery.
No, they probably messaged him.
Yeah, they're willing and dealing, or salesman.
So Abram, he didn't want to will and deal with him. He wanted to pay right price too.
Price, yeah.
And he mourns over Sarah. And you would. I mean, you're with a woman that calls you Lord, does what you say and everything. Why wouldn't you mourn? Beautiful. So to the point where you want to lie and tell people not that she's a sister. She had to be an awesome woman. That's all I can say.
But Ephron also calls him Lord, so I guess it was a type, because Ephron answered Abram and said, "My Lord, listen to me." He goes, "The land is worth 400 shekels of silver,
Yeah.
So what is that between you and me?"
Yeah.
In other words, give me 400 and you can bury your dad.
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't want to say it out loud. He
Yeah.
didn't want to say it.
All right, so we're going to 24 now. Same thing, summary. The last 3 chapters we're going to read.
Genesis chapter 24 summary. Abraham sends his servant to his relatives in Mesopotamia to find a wife for his son Isaac. Yahweh provides the servant with a sign by sending Rebekah to give him and his 10 camels water to drink. Rebekah is brought from her family to Isaac, who finds comfort in her after the death of his mother Sarah. Chapter 24 outline verses. 1. Abraham's old age. 2-9 Abraham's servant swears to get a bride for Isaac from Abraham's homeland instead of Canaan, assuming she agrees. 10-11 The servant travels to Nahor in Mesopotamia with 10 camels and stops at a well. 12-14 The servant asks Yahweh for a sign, a girl who will not only give him water, but his camels too. 15-20 Rebekah, the beautiful virgin daughter of Abraham's nephew, acts out the servant's sign.
Okay, so do you guys ever do a fleece?
I have.
Or you asking God for a sign to give you a sign so you know that you know that you know that you know? You probably should.
I've done it.
It's good, but don't do something stupid. I need to see a yellow car with a blue top, with a one tire white, with the bumper crooked and bent up, and no muffler.
Hey, you can do it.
All things are possible.
You can do it. Come on, girl.
I think I told the story before about this man. This is real. This policeman who was going to kill himself. He decided that his wife had died, and he decided that there's nothing worth living for. So he's up on this roof, and he decided, I'm going to jump off. But just before he did, he said, "If you show me a little girl that is doing cartwheel coming down the road," he said, "I'll believe you and I won't do it." And sure enough, this little girl, she asked her mom for money to go to the store to buy candy, and she's just around the corner. So as she's going, she's so happy, she's going to buy candy. She's doing cartwheels,
Oh, wow.
going to the store. And he looked down and saw her and said, "God, you are real. You did answer my prayer." And he didn't kill himself. He went down and told the little girl what happened.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And he was gonna just kill himself.
Yeah.
When we were a part of Youthquake Live, this girl said she thought she heard the Lord's voice, but she wasn't sure. So she said, "Have somebody in this school come up to me and say something funny about tacos during the test, and I'll know that you're talking to me, Lord. Kid, not even a part of the class, was like, hey, I think I left something in here. Walks over to her desk, kneels down and was like, I'm supposed to say something about tacos to you, so something about tacos. And walks out. And she was like, okay, I'm hearing from you.
Yeah.
I mean, God can do anything. We prayed for the fish to
I know.
with the kids.
I know, that's true.
I mean,
He's
It wasn't even
donkey,
about
talks
pizza.
to donkeys and all
so,
kinds
I
of
mean,
stuff.
yes,
So
it's possible.
it's,
So
well,
with the blue top.
I remember Charlie when he used to come here. He told me about a drunk where he was working at because Charlie was having an issue with the Sabbath, and he shared it with all of us. And he said this drunk guy comes out of nowhere and says, basically, you're not doing the Sabbath, and you know you should, and you need to get it right. Drunk out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That doesn't know he keeps Sabbath and comes over. It's crazy. So yeah, God can work through anybody. All right, so we're going to. Oh, let me finish the rest of this.
22 to 25. The servant gives Rebekah gold and jewelry. Rebekah reveals her lineage. The servant is granted lodging for the night. 26 to 27. The servant blesses Yahweh for guiding him to the house of Ner, Abraham's brother. 28. Rebekah tells her mother's household of the events. 29 to 32. Rebekah's brother Laban brings the servant and his men into the home, washes their feet, and feeds the camels. 33. The servant is offered food, but demands to speak. 37 to 49. The servant recounts his story in great detail and asks for Rebekah. 50 to 51. Laban and Bethuel agree. 52 to 53. The servant bows before Yahweh and gives presents to Rebekah, Laban, and his mother. 54 to 59. Despite a debate about time, the servant is permitted to leave immediately with Rebekah. 60. Rebekah's family blesses her. 61. Rebekah and her servant girls leave with the servant. 62 to 65. Rebekah falls off her camel when she first sees Isaac. 66 to 67. Isaac takes Rebekah into his mother's tent and finds comfort after his mother's death.
That's what I tell Mary when I fall or something. It's not the first time I fell for you. That's a great story with. Now we're thinking about it. He's going to go and get a wife and says, "Here's what you got to do." Blah 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 blah. And it all happens just like that. Pretty cool. All right, so we are going to read Genesis 25. We're almost done.
Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Asherim, Letushim,
There'll be a
and
test.
Dean. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, Ephur, Hanak, Abida, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward, away from Isaac his son, to the country of the east. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last, and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that God blessed his son Isaac. And Isaac dwelt at Beer-lahai-roi. Now this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, then Kedar, Adbea, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadah, Tema, Jetur, Nephish, and Caleb.
Sounds like speaking in tongues. Okay, so Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. Gave gifts to the sons of the concubines.
And send them away.
And send them away. To be away from. That's your father. Think about it.
Because he still remembered that the
But
covenant is with
covenant is-
Isaac.
Yeah, I know.
But another interesting thing is that Ishmael came to bury him.
Yes, Ishmael did. All right, so now we're going to go to, we got to finish this, don't we?
These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names, by their towns and their settlements, 12 princes, according to their nations. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go toward Assyria. He died in the presence of all his brethren. This is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian, of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said,
If all is well, why am I like this?
So she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her,
2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. One people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger.
So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over. So they called his name Esau. Afterward his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he ate of his game. But Rebekah loved Jacob. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob,
Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary.
Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said,
Sell me your birthright as of this day.
Look, I'm about to die. So what is this birthright to me?
Swear to me as of this day.
So he swore to him, and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
Okay. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in the tents. Esau, daddy's boy. Jacob, Mama's boy.
Mama's boy.
Man's man, a hunter. And how many people live like Esau? Give up their birthright. Instant, I'm hungry. I want it now. I want it, me, my flesh. I want to satisfy my flesh. That spiritual stuff is something way later on. I need it right now. Gives up his birthright.
So of all the things that Jacob could have asked for, he asked for his birthright. Could it be that in the end it says that he despised his birthright and he talked about it so much that how much he hated it that Jacob, that's the reason why Jacob asked for it?
Well, Jacob knew the firstborns are the ones that were supposed to get everything. They're supposed to carry down the lineage, so he wanted that birthright.
I think
And
his
he was
action of
sometimes
selling
from the
it
beginning.
is what let us know that he despised his birthright. Because if you
Yeah.
valued it,
You would
Yeah.
never.
you would never have
Yeah.
given it away.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to make a comparison with Ishmael and Esau later, so that's why I want you to remember Ishmael and Esau here. So, all right, we're going to chapter 26 summary right now. Guess we weren't.
9 to 10. Abimelech chastised.
What happened to my? Oh, I can't believe it.
Luckily, there's no hard word for you.
9 to 10.
Yeah, okay. So I have to do it. Okay. A famine strikes and Isaac settles in Philistine Gerar, where he presents Rebekah as his sister. And here we go. Like father, like son. He gains protection from the kings and becomes very wealthy. So, and he gets wealthy over it. The Philistines grow jealous and send him on his way to Beersheba. Isaac makes an oath of peace with the Philistine king Amalek, hence the name Beersheba. Esau marries 2 Hittite girls, causing distress to his parents Isaac and Rebekah. Chapter 26, outline verses 1 through 6. Isaac travels to Gerar. 1a, another famine hits the land. 1b, Isaac travels to Amalek, king of the Philistine in Gerar. 2 through 5, Yahweh tells Isaac to stay in the land and recapitulates his covenant with Abraham. 6, Isaac remains in Gerar. 7 through 11, Isaac presents Rebekah as his sister. 7, Isaac presents Rebekah as a sister to save his own life. 8, Amalek catches Isaac playing romantically with Rebekah, and then we'll keep going.
9 to 10. Abimelech chastises Isaac for potentially bringing punishment upon the Philistines, who would have slept with Rebekah. 11. Abimelech warns the Philistines not to touch Isaac or Rebekah. 12 to 22. Isaac in Philistia. 12 to 13. Isaac becomes a wealthy farmer in Philistia. 14 to 15. The Philistines grew envious and stopped up the wells dug by Abraham's servants. 16. Abimelech tells Isaac to leave. 17. Isaac settles in the valley of Gerar and redug the wells of his father, giving them names. 19 to 20. The Philistines claim the contention while their own. 21. The Philistines claim the hostility while their own. 22. Isaac dug another well named Rehoboth Widening, which he kept, because Yahweh made room for him to flourish. 23 to 33. Isaac in Beersheba. 23. Isaac travels to Beersheba.
So you think Abraham was sitting around, and they're all sitting around the campfire, and they're all talking, and they're telling stories. Dad, tell us about that. And they're talking about how he said it, Mom was my sister, you know, I'm scared, and blah, 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 blah. Because he does the same thing.
Yeah, exactly the same.
It's crazy. Anybody got anything they want to say on 26? Oh, I have more still to go. By the way, let me finish it.
24. Yahweh appears to Isaac in a dream, blessing him with numerous offspring. 25a. Isaac builds an altar and calls in the name of Yahweh. 25b. Isaac's servants dig a well there. 26 to 31. Abimelech comes to Isaac, makes an oath, Shavua, of peace over a meal, and departs in peace. 32 to 33. Isaac's servants found water in their well. Isaac named the well oath, Shavua, hence the name Beersheba. 34 to 35. Troubles with Esau. 34, Esau marries Judith and Basemath, daughters of Hittites, at the age of 40. 35, this causes problems for Isaac and Rebekah.
So you know what he did? He knew it wasn't going to please them, so he married them.
Yeah.
Because he was mad because he didn't get blessed. Anyway, anybody got anything they want to say on 26? That caught your eye? All right, we're going to go to 27. We're going to read this. So we got 27, 28, and 29, then we're done. And one of them's pretty short.
Now it came to pass, when Isaac was old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he called Esau, his older son, and said to him,
My son, here I am. Behold now, I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now, therefore, please, take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and make me savory food such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die.
Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt game, and to bring it. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son.
Indeed, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me game and make savory food for me, that I may eat it and bless you in the presence of the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I command you. Go now to the flock, and bring me from there 2 choice kids of the goats, and I will make savory food from them for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall take it to your father, that he may eat it, and that he may bless you before his death.
Look, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be a deceiver to him, and I shall bring a curse on myself and not a blessing.
Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice, and go get them for me.
And he went and got them, and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory food, such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the choice clothes of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. So he went to his father and said,
My father.
Here I am. Who are you, my son?
Jacob said to his father,
I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done just as you told me. Please arise. Sit and eat of my game, that your soul may bless me.
How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?
Because the Lord your God brought it to me.
Please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not.
So Jacob went near to Isaac his father, and he felt him and said,
The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau.
And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy, like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. Then he said,
Are you really my son Esau?
I am.
Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's game, so that my soul may bless you.
So he brought it near to him, and he ate. And he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him,
Come near now, and kiss me, my son.
And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his clothing, and blessed him.
Surely the smell of my son is like the smell of a field which the Lord has blessed. Therefore, may God give you of the dew of heaven, of the fatness of the earth,
and plenty of grain and wine. Let peoples serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be those who bless you.
Now it happened, as soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also had made savory food, and brought it to his father.
Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me.
Who are you?
I am your son, your firstborn, Esau.
Then Isaac trembled exceedingly.
Who? Where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate all of it before you came, and I have blessed him, and indeed he shall be blessed.
When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with an exceedingly great and bitter cry.
Bless me, me also, O my father.
Your brother came with deceit and has taken away your blessing.
Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now look, he has taken away my blessing. Have you not reserved a blessing for me?
Indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren I have given to him as servants. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do now for you, my son?
Have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me, me also, oh my father.
And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said to him,
Behold, your dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you become restless, that you shall break his yoke from your neck.
So Esau hated Jacob, because of the blessing with which his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart,
The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Jacob.
And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob, her younger son.
Surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved also of you both in one day?
And Rebekah said to Isaac,
I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, like these who are the daughters of the land, what good will my life be to me?
All right, anybody got anything? There's a lot in there. Deception, deception, deception.
Yeah. But he said that Jacob stole his birthright, but he didn't. He gave it to him.
He did.
So, and despised it.
Yeah.
But now he's saying, oh, he stole my birthright.
Yeah, that's right. He did steal his blessing,
Yeah.
but the blessing wasn't his because he gave up his birthright. By giving up the birthright, he didn't get that blessing.
And Rebecca, was she wrong in what
I was
she
gonna
did?
say, he listened to.
No,
Jacob listened to
Rebecca was
Rebecca.
right because Yahweh told her that the older was going to serve the younger.
But we don't know how that was going to be about,
Right.
Because Yahweh was going to do it, but she went ahead and did it her way.
Well,
She
Instead of-
still was deceptive.
Instead of waiting on Yahweh, because Yahweh would have worked it out somehow, probably that they would.
maybe that was part of the plan.
But
It was jealousy, deception.
Deception,
It sounds
yeah.
like a movie.
It is.
Yeah.
It sounds like
You're the fan.
deception.
So that should give us all hope when we mess up. Knowing that all these
Yeah.
people had issues, they were flesh just like us, they put on clothes just like us, they made mistakes, they lied, they deceptive, they did all this stuff. Even though Abram's the father of faith, he's still not perfect. There was only one perfect person on earth, and that was Yeshua. So that, we always remember that. Not that it gives you permission to do anything, but there's hope when you mess up. Just ask for forgiveness and go on. Yeah, Ms. Connie.
But she got punished though, Rebecca, because Isaac was not Isaac. Jacob was her favorite son,
Yeah.
and she sent him away thinking, oh, it's only going to be for a few days.
Yeah,
and I
but
would
it
say-
wasn't.
but she never saw him again.
Yeah. All right, let's
She
go
died
to,
and never saw him again.
yeah, let's go to 28. We're going to read that too.
Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and charged him,
You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take yourself a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you, and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly of peoples, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you are a stranger, which God gave to Abraham.
So Isaac sent Jacob away, and he went to Padan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and sent him away to Padan Aram, to take himself a wife from there, and that as he blessed him, he gave him a charge, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Padan Aram. Also, Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael, and took Nebaioth, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, in addition to the wives he had. Now Jacob went out from Beersheba, and went toward Haran. So he came to a certain place, and stayed there all night, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place, and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep.
All right, so who is Ishmael?
Abraham's son.
And what about Ishmael? What did I tell you to remember about Ishmael?
The wild man.
He's well.
And he,
Everybody was gonna be against him, and he was gonna be against them.
yes. And so what does Esau do?
Go take
He
one
goes
of
to
his
Ishmael.
daughters because he heard his mother said she didn't like the Canaanite woman,
And he goes
and he was
to,
mad with them.
He goes
So
to
he
Ishmael.
yes, and he goes to
and
Ishmael.
get one of her daughters, one of his
So I
daughters.
want to make this connection between Esau and Ishmael. So in Muslim tradition, Ishmael is the patriarch, and his mother Hagar are buried next to Kaaba in Mecca. Ishmael is recognized as the important prophet and the patriarch of Islam. And matter of fact, I think it's Muhammad comes from that line. Muhammad the prophet, based on Islam and everything. So you have Islam, which is coming from Ishmael. Then you have Esau, Harry and all that, who's also kind of in that line too, because he marries into that line. So I'm going to show a quick video of Bill Cloud talking about Esau, who they could be.
Who are the descendants of Esau today?
As far as the physical descendants, the only thing I know to say is in Ezekiel 34 and 35, read about what God has to say to Edom, that is the nation that is connected to Esau, their pursuit of blood, their hatred of Jacob. Obadiah mentions their destruction because of the violence that they committed against their brother Jacob. And then in Ezekiel 36, it talks about the people who claim the mountains of Israel as being their own, saying they don't belong to Israel. And God identifies those people as being the remnant of the nations, different people from different nations, unspecified. And then all of Edom, that is all of Esau. So I would presume that physical descendants are among those who lay claim to the mountains of Israel, saying that they belong to them and that they do not belong to the sons of Jacob. And so if you can figure out who those people are in the world today who say this land belongs to us, it doesn't belong to Israel, some of them probably are descended from Esau. And you can figure it out from there.
Okay, so you got, who is that today? We got a war going on right now in Israel. Hamas, Islamic, and Palestinians who hate Israel, who are saying death to Israel. Death to them. They don't even want them to be a nation. That's not yours, it's ours. Right now today, I mean, we're seeing biblical prophecy being fulfilled right between our eyes. It's not complete yet, but it's happening right before our eyes. We're seeing this stuff happening. And we see how Esau and Ishmael, how they tie in together. It's pretty interesting. So anyway, that's all I got about that. And let me see. Where are we going to now?
So Jacob went on his
29.
journey and came to the land of the people of the east. And he looked,
This is the last
saw a well in the field, and behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. A large stone was on the well's mouth. Now all the flocks would be gathered there, and they would roll the stone from the well's mouth, water the sheep, and put the stone back in its place on the well's mouth. And Jacob said to them,
My brethren, where are you from? We are from Haran. Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? We know him. Is he well? He is well. And look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep.
Look, it is still high day. It is not time for the cattle to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go and feed them.
We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together, and they have rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep.
Now while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Then Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative, and that he was Rebekah's son. So she ran and told her father. Then it came to pass, when Laban heard the report about Jacob, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him and kissed him, and brought him to his house. So he told Laban all these things. And Laban said to him,
Surely you are my bone and my flesh.
And he stayed with him for a month. And Laban said to Jacob,
Because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be?
Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Now Jacob loved Rachel, so he said,
I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter.
It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to another man. Stay with me.
So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban,
Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her.
And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast. Now it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah his daughter and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. And Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah as a maid.
All right, we're going to continue this, but I just want to stop right here. Verse 20. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed only a few days to him because he loved her so much. Time flies when you're having fun. When you have love, it flies. Let's keep going.
So it came to pass in the morning that, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban,
What is this you have done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served you? Why then have you deceived me?
The deceiver becomes a deceiver.
It must not be done so in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this one also for the service which you will serve with me still another 7 years.
Then Jacob did so, and fulfilled her week. So he gave him his daughter Rachel as wife also. And Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as a maid. Then Jacob also went into Rachel, and he also loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served with Laban still another 7 years. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuben, for she said,
The Lord has surely looked on my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me.
Then she conceived again and bore a son.
Because the Lord has heard that I am unloved, he has therefore given me this son also.
And she called his name Simeon. She conceived again and bore a son.
Now this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons.
Therefore his name was called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son.
Now I will praise the Lord.
Therefore she called his name Judah. Then she stopped bearing.
To be continued next week when Sean has it. But, so what about 29? You guys got anything? This is real, I mean, more deception, more deceiving.
So did he?
So the deceiver became the deceived.
So,
Yeah, that's
so
true.
did he love Rebecca because it made a point in saying that she was more figured and
Yeah.
more,
He
and
loved
then
her.
and then Leah just had like, so it's like nice guys finish last, but she was all like beautiful, and so he like latched onto her, and Leah was just like a normal, regular person.
Well, I feel sorry for Leah because
For sure.
she's married and she's going, I had pop this one out, pop that one up, and maybe
So-
he'll love me now. I'm
Yeah.
popping them out left and right. And
Because she saw that he, but the fact
What's
is
the word of the day?
he saw her first and loved her.
The word of the day
He
is
saw
enough.
Rachel first and loved
I know.
Rachel. He never looked. He never looked at Leah.
huh?
He never looked at Leah. He only loved Rachel.
Yeah.
So the sin was on her dad for giving her to him, knowing that he didn't love her.
So he had to look at her because she's popping them out left and
No,
right.
no, no.
so-
I meant before that.
No,
I'm talking about before that.
Yeah.
When he saw Rachel, he loved Rachel. He never even looked at Leah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but because, as Laban said, in that part of the country, I guess, you couldn't marry the younger before the older.
Yeah.
It didn't seem proper. So
Yeah.
that's why he got Leah.
Yeah.
But he never loved her at all.
No. So the moral of this,
Rachel was the one he loved.
the moral of this story is don't marry 2 sisters.
But he wanted Rachel because that was his first love. That was
Whereas
his
two
love.
sisters shouldn't marry the
Yeah.
same guy. That's crazy.
So if there was a sin there, the sin was on Laban because Laban did that.
Yeah, he did. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But he stuck it out, man.
Yeah, but yeah, because he said so. He said so he figured maybe he wouldn't get Rachel if he didn't stay with Leah because that's what Laban said. Complete your week with her and then I will give you.
And then he still had to work
Rachel.
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And during that time, Rachel didn't have any babies.
Yeah, Leah just kept on having them.
And she was hoping that his love would grow for her.
Yeah, but it didn't, apparently.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so he said, so in the morning, after he had Leah that night, in the morning is when he realizes Leah.
Yeah.
And he said, what have you done to me? Wasn't it for Rachel that I worked for you? Why have you deceived me?
Yeah.
Because he didn't
know.
And yeah, he thought Rachel was the one he was given.
He had to work and do all that.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's like double the work.
It is, yeah.
Enough.
Poor guy had to have 2 wives.
Enough.
too.
I don't know who he's enough.
I mean, it's so.
It's dysfunction junction.
It really
But-
is.
I know you said Sean's gonna finish this, but imagine that she had four boys and she couldn't be satisfied with that,
No.
and she couldn't have any more. So now she started the whole thing over with her slave, with her servant.
Well, at the end, she did say, "Now I praise the Lord." You know, when she had Judah.
Yeah, but still.
But then after that was it.
Yeah, I know.
So did she
Well, I
stopped
don't know
praising when she couldn't
that
have
story
any
to
more.
be continued. So, all right, we're done. So, oh, Candace wants to pray.
we're not gonna get to finish it next week, Sean. Because we're not gonna be here.
Oh,
I will watch anyway.
go ahead.
Father God.
Go ahead, Candace.
Thank you for this service and the food and
Amen.
Amen.
All right. She's adding to it now, little by
Yes,
little.
yes.
Yep.
Good morning.
Samant's in the
Camera. Huh?
Samant's in the hospice now.
She's in there. Is it close to the hospital or what?
I don't know.
Get the address